Hello guys, this is your friend Naruto Nexus 2.0 and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is What If Naruto Fall in Love with Yugao and Kurenai Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. -7 months before Naruto born. Kushina Uzumaki was sitting on her home sofa surrounded by 4 6-year-old girls, all rubbing her stomach. She was giggling at the conversation they were having. The girls' names were Anko, Hana, Kurenai, and Yugao. The girls looked up to Kushina. As a goddess of shinobi, Kushina trained the girls when she had free time even with girls in different attributes, and she can proudly say that these 4 will become a force to be reckoned with. But she also cared for them as her own kids. They each were different in personalities. Anko was like Kushina as she was younger, brash, a prankster, and unhealthy, but she was the one to watch out for out of the 4 when it comes to anger. Hana had the biggest heart of the girls. She always treated everyone fair, but she would sometimes get into it with Anko since both of them had tomboyish personalities and Hana was on the wild side. Kurenai was the calm and smart one. She had an older sister personality of the girls. And last Yugao, she was calm but also the peacemaker, and the scariest. She was also the most talented. Shina-chan is okay if I marry Naru-chan when he's older? Anko asked. Hana then put the purple hair girl in a headlock. Who said you can marry him? He'll like me better anyway. Hana retorted. Why would he want a girl who smells like kibble and licks her on butt, when he could have me? Like he would want a girl that smells like snakes and dangos. Anko tackled Hana to the ground, and they started pounding each other, making everyone sweat drop. Kushina's hair started to float like it was possessed. Girls may stop fighting. I would hate to have to punish you, she asked in a sickening sweet voice, causing the girls to stop immediately. Now why do you want to marry my unborn son, Databane? Because if he's anything like you, he will be loads of fun and strong. Anko said. And if he looks like Hokage-sama, he will be good looking. Hana added. I'm kinda hoping he has Minato's knowledge. Kurenai spoke up. I want to train with him in Kenjutsu. It'll be good to have someone to train with. Yugao finished. You two also. What about Asuma and Hayate? Kushina asked, making the girls scowl a bit. Asuma is too high horse about being the Sandame's son, and started picking up a smoking habit. Plus all he cares about is my looks. Kurenai said. I asked Hayate why he wanted to go out with me and all he said was because I'm pretty. He doesn't know anything about me. Yugao answered as well. But Naru-kun is going to marry me. All girls said then glared at each other. All of you guys can marry him, Databane. The girls turned to Kushina with a questionable look. You see, I'm from the Uzumaki clan as you know, but I'm the last. So Sin Naru-chan will be the last boy. He will be qualified for CRA, which means he can have multiple wives. The girls smiled and looked at each and nodded. I don't mind sharing, Hana said. Yeah, if we all can be happy, why not? Anko added. We're all best friends, so it won't be a problem. Yugao finished. Kushina smiled and went back to her. She came back a few seconds later with a marriage scroll. Okay. Sign your name here and bite your thumb to make a blood print, and also the engagement won't follow through unless Naru-chan signs as well. The girls did as they were told and signed without hesitation. Kushina that the girls were looking forward to her son's birth and she loved each one of them even if they did have their own quirks. Girls, can y'all promise me something? The girls nodded. If anything were to happen to me and Minato-kun, may you look after Naru-chan, just in case. The girls looked at each other and back at Kushina. We promise. After all, he's our future husband. -6 years later. A man was walking out the door of an orphanage with a moving sack on his shoulder. Stop struggling, brat. This is your punishment for all the lives you stole. He headed into the village, then turned down an alleyway where there was a group of people that looked like they were expecting him. The man pulled a blonde boy out of the bag who was tied up, and gagged. Now what shall we do with the demon? I say we cut him for every life he took that day, a random man suggested. I say we burn him, another guy suggested, making the boy shiver in fear. He didn't know why the villagers always did this to him. Let's rough him up a bit. Rip out his eyes and tongue. One more guy said. I say we kill the mob. A female voice suggested from the back of the mob. Yeah, I agree. Another female said. Kill the mob. Two more voices yelled. Then it settled. We kill the mob. The man paused after processing what he heard, and the group of men turned around, and as soon as they did, they were in an illusion, soon finding themselves in a forest on fire. 4 women were standing in front of them. One of them sent out snakes from her sleeves, which bit one of the men on his neck. Another pounced at the group, shredding them with her claws. And last was killed by sword through their chest. Yugao, go report this incident to Ji-sama. Yugao signed. Fine, but first, how is Naruto-kun doing? She turned to see Kurenai untying the blonde. After she was done, Naruto backed up into a corner crying. Not one to be outdone, Anko approaches and kisses his cheek as well. Neither am I, we care too much about you, my handsome blonde. Naruto smiled with a flushed look on his face. Really? Someone cares about me? Hana smiled and approached him and gave him a warm hug. Of course we care, why would we want to hurt a cutie like you? Hana gave him a kiss away, making Naruto's face go darker. Yugao was the last to approach. She kissed the boy on the forehead. We are with you for now on, Naruto, and we will protect you. So does this make you girls angels? Naruto asked, tilting his head side. When the girls saw this, they were resisting the urge to glomp the boy, that was until he spoke his next words. You girls are beautiful like angels. That did it. They glomped him between them and started kissing all over him. After 30 seconds, he was covered in kisses with a happy dopey face on him, making the girls giggle. Alright, let's take him to his new home, and Yugao go give the report, but don't let him know where we are taking him, we promised Kushina-san. Kurenai ordered, picking up the dazed boy. They each then disappeared to different locations. Naruto woke up, rubbing his eyes, and found himself on what seems to be a queen-size bed. Oh, you're awake. Girls, Naru-kun awake, said the purple-haired Kunoichi from earlier. The other 3 girls from earlier came into the room. I guess we should introduce ourselves. I'm the sexy and yours Anko Mitrashi. I like dangos and snakes, and love my Naru-kun. I hate perverts and traitors. My dream is to kill a certain snake, and... She paused and blushed. She went close to Naruto and whispered, I'll tell you later. Making the blonde shiver. Don't tease him, Anko. Anyway, my name is Hana Inuzuka. I like dogs and meat. I love Ruto-kun as well. I hate cats and perverts, and my dream I'll tell you later. Hana winked. Hello, Naruto-kun. I'm Kurenai Yuhi. I like genjutsu, sushi and reading. I love Naruto-kun. I hate perverts, smokers and traitors. My dream is to become the best genjutsu mistress, and you'll find out the rest. Yugao smirked and walked towards Naruto and started stroking his whiskers. Is it alright if I call you Whisker-kun? Naruto blushed at her touch, and nodded. Well, Whisker-kun, I'm Yugao Uzu and I like kenjutsu, and crepes. I love my little Whisker-kun. I hate perverts, and people who will hurt those I care about. My dream is to become the strongest kenjutsu specialist, and like the others, you'll find out later. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like ramen, pranks, training and... Naruto looked at the 4 girls and blushed nervously. My new friends Anko-chan, Hana-chan, Kurenai-chan, and Yugao-chan. This causes the girls to blush and smirk at the boy. I hate getting hurt and the 3 minutes it takes to make ramen. My dream is to become Hokage and have a family or someone who will love me. After he was finished, he looked at the 4 like there was something on his mind. Can I ask you for something? Why do y'all love me? I never even met you. The girls were quiet for a while, then smiled. Yugao stepped forward and decided to speak. Whisker-kun, when we said we loved you, we meant we care about you, that we would risk our lives for you. But don't get me wrong, we still like you for different reasons, I suppose. I admire your kind heart. No matter how hard you're treated, you never give in to hatred and take revenge on the village. Plus, you're quite the looker. Anko stepped up next. I think you're pretty awesome. We've been watching you for a while and I like your cunning mind. Like when you had snuck in the Jonin laundry lounge and put an orange sock in their whites. As you know, I'm kinda a prankster myself. Anko said, hugging Naruto in her cleavage, making him blush. Hana pulled Naruto away from Anko and into her cleavage. I like how caring you are and not a pervert. Even though we threw ourselves towards you and the fact you're in my cleavage, you're still looking at my face. You also value life, like the time you were water and changing the soil of a dead flower in the garden my training ground 6. Or when you feed a stray dog you beloved ramen. And most stuff is made up, basically they were watching Naruto his whole life. I just did what most people would do. Naruto said to move back from Hana just to be pulled by Kurenai. I also like how you would protect anyone no matter how bad they treat you, like when you protected the pink-haired girl, I think her name was Sakura, from being picked regardless who she treated you to. You have some great traits for a shinobi, but even greater for a man. But enough of that, it's getting late and it's time to sleep. Naruto nodded. He scooted back on the bed, getting ready to sleep. Then he saw the girl playing paper, scissor, rock. Excuse me, but what are you doing? The blonde asked. Trying to decide who gets to sleep next to you. Anko answered to focus on the game. Why are you sleeping next to me? I can sleep on the couch if it helps. Naruto, if you keep being considerate, it will be hard to keep our hand off you, and plus we don't want you sleeping on the couch, we want to sleep next to you. Hana responded. After the game it was Yugao and Anko sleeping next to him while Kurenai and Hana seethed in jealousy. Naruto was blushing but soon dozed off along with his new precious people. Life was going to get better for him. The start of greatness. Yugao woke up the next morning alone, which confused her. She looked around, searching for Naruto and Anko but couldn't find the two of them. She got out of bed and put on, still wearing her nightgown, she walked out the bedroom door and headed downstairs to the kitchen. She noticed Kurenai by the stove cooking some breakfast and Hana was at the table drooling from the smell of bacon. Good morning Kurenai-chan, Hana-chan, where's Naruto-kun and Anko-chan? How should I know? You were the one sleeping with them. Kurenai responded. Well, they weren't there when I woke up, Yugao said. Maybe Anko-chan is with him. Hana added. After those words left her mouth, the three paused for a moment, then out of nowhere, they started panicking. As much as they love Anko, her sadistic nature was too much. They then split up to search for the blonde and purple-haired friend. After searching, Hana heard water running in the bathroom. She called Kurenai and Yugao to her location. When they arrived, Kurenai knocked on the door. Anko-chan, are you in there? Yes, Nai-san, what's the matter? Anko asked in concern. We can't find Naruto-kun, have you seen him? Yugao asked. Last time I saw him he was in bed. Anko asked. Kurenai and Yugao accepted it and turned to walk away. But stopped to turn to Hana and noticed her eyes were closed, sniffing. Her eyes shot open and kicked down the door, which confused the other two, so they followed in. When they arrived they saw Anko making grabbing gestures toward the scared blonde in the corner. Anko. Said girl turned to see three pissed off girls glaring at her radiating ki with their eyes glowing red. She shivered in fear. Heh, found him. Anko said nervously. Few minutes later. Anko was surrounded by the other girls, Kurenai holding Naruto, while sitting on her knees holding a sign, I'm a bad naughty pervert, and I will never do it again. Anko looked down in shame. So, Anko looked at Yugao, who was glaring at her, repeatedly tapping her foot with her arms folded. What have you learned? What I did was a no-no and should have waited until he was older. Anko said in shame. She looked at Naruto. I'm sorry Naru-kun, I just wanted to do some bonding through skinship. Kurenai rubbed her temples with her free hand. It's fine to bond Anko-chan, but don't force it, and it takes time. What you did was perverted and Naruto-kun is too young for that. Naruto jumped out of Kurenai's arm and ran and gave Anko a hug. Okay Anko-chan, I thought you were going to attack me like the only grown-ups. Anko smiled and hugged the boy back, but mentally, all four girls were seething at the treatment of their prince. They started to explain everything to him and get his training started. Namikaze compound. Naruto was shocked to say the least. He was just told that these four girls who just entered his life knew his mother. He was told that these girls were his mistresses who would serve him. But he was against it until they told them they were fine with it as long as Naruto kept a good heart. But the most surprising information was that he was a Jinchuriki. The girls reassured him that the fox was not evil according to his mother, but they had no clue what happened the night of the attack and what made her go on a rampage. Naruto was also surprised that Kyuubi was a girl. Naruto-kun, I want you to concentrate and try to communicate with her. She is vital to your training. You don't have to worry, I promise she will not hurt you. Naruto nodded and sat down, crossing his legs in a meditating position. He stayed like that until he felt a pull and saw a flow of red chakra. Naruto mindscape. Naruto opened his eyes and looked around to find himself in a sewer. This was his mind. Was it so dark and creepy? Naruto stood there, pondered about it, starting to wonder if it was possible to turn it to some else like his new home or at least a flower field. As soon as it left his thought, the whole area started to flash and he was now on a grassy field. Ah, that's better. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Naruto turned his head to the source of the voice and saw a woman with long red hair, with fox ears and 9 tails, wearing a kimono. I'm glad to finally meet you, Naruto-kun. My name is Kurumi and I'm the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Why, you're the Kyuubi? You don't look like a fox. You look like a beautiful girl. Naruto exclaimed. Kurumi walked to the boy and gave him a hug, blushing from the completement. Well, I am the Kyuubi and I overheard the conversation outside. Naruto-kun, I want to say I'm sorry for what happened the night you were born. We were attacked and I was placed under a genjutsu that caused me to rampage. I'm not sure who it was, but I'm pretty sure you will encounter him in the future. But for now I need you to learn to justice so I can train you and the girls. Naruto nodded and proceeded to listen to the instruction. Namikaze house. The girls were eyeing Naruto patiently, waiting for something to happen. Yugao was sure that the blonde met the fox, and from what Kushina had told her about Kurumi, she was very friendly. Naruto slowly opened his eyes and gave the girls a look that said he accomplished his goal. She said to go to the downstairs bunker, and one of you should know where it is. Basement door. It's this way. Kurenai got up and led the group down the hallway and to a door. She turned to Naruto before proceeding. This is a training bunker your family used when they needed some privacy. But what's special about the bunker is that it's covered in seals that can affect the room environment, gravity, temperature, and more. It's even more dangerous than the one I heard Anbu uses. Naruto started to get nervous, but he wanted to be Hokage. So he had to be ready for anything. Kurenai opened the door and led the group downstairs to a huge room filled with different ninja tools and seals on the wall. Naruto thought the room was awesome and his nervousness died down. The girls were chuckling. Well, at least 3 of them were. Anko had the same look as Naruto. It's quite understandable since, out of all of them, Anko was the most childish. Naruto-kun, I know you are excited, but can you proceed with the jutsu? I'll take care of the rest. Kurumi said, giggling. Stopped jumping and rubbed the back of his head sheepishly in embarrassment. Sorry. Naruto replied before biting his thumb a bit. Blood clone jutsu. Red chakra started to form around Naruto and the blood on his thumb started to pour, while the red chakra fused with it. Clone took the form of a Kurumi and Naruto fell on his butt in exhaustion after performing his first jutsu. Kurumi looked down at her body and then at the girls, giving them a smile. I'm pretty sure you heard of me, so introductions aren't needed. I want to thank you for taking care of our prince. but I'm sad to say you four are not cut out for the job yet. That's why I'm here. Yugao stepped forward with a questionable gaze. What do you mean, Kurumi-san? We are the strongest girls of our year, we're even chunin right now. I already knew that, but you have so much more potential. Example Yugao, you are a skilled kenjutsu user, but if you were to fight someone with wind affinity or a ranged fighter, you might not win. She turned to Hana. Hana, you rely too much on your clan techniques, which it's not bad but it will be predictable in the future. She looked at Kurenai next. Kurenai, you have perfect chakra control and are great at genjutsu, but what will you do if you fight someone who's immune to genjutsu? Out of all you, Anko has the best chance for survival because she's the only one who's well-rounded. All the girls nodded in understanding. Kurumi turned to Naruto. And don't think I forgot about you, my blonde fox. You will learn everything from your Uzumaki scrolls, to ninjutsu, kenjutsu, taijutsu and so on. You have so much potential and I plan on releasing it. Naruto looked down in embarrassment. Do you think I can do it? No. Naruto looked at Kurumi in disbelief, saddened, but Kurumi grabbed his face and made him face her. I know you can. Naruto-kun, you will achieve great things in the future, I know it. Naruto had tears in his eyes and gave the demon a warm hug, which she returned. Dhe broke apart and walked in front of them. I'm going to rebuild all of you from scratch. You girls will be marked as Naruto vixens and guards, his own personal Anbu. After that we will work in every field together. We will not leave this bunker for no reason. It will be hell and make you want to die. But the benefits will be worth it. If you let me be your sensei in place of Kushina-sama, I promise I will bring out the best in you. So the question is, will you let me guide you? Hi, sensei. The girls said in unison, alongside Naruto. Kurumi smiled and gave them an unnerving evil grin. Let the training begin. 4 years later, Hiruzen was sitting in the council after being called in a meeting. He had a pretty good idea on what it was about. Naruto, ever since his disappearance, the civilians have been cheering about the demon's disappearance, but the naive elders of the council see it as the loss of their weapon. But Hiruzen was aware of the boy's location, and he assumed Sume was as well since she didn't voice any concern for her daughter, but wasn't surprised, since Sume was best friends with Kushina. Now Hiruzen was sitting in the front of the chamber waiting for the meeting to start. Danzo decided to be the first to speak. Not everyone is here so we can begin the meeting. And why did you call this meeting without my permission? Hiruzen asked, leaking some key. Sorry Hiruzen, that's Hokage-sama to you. Hiruzen interrupted. Yes, my apologies Hokage-sama, Danzo seethed. But it concerns the loss of our weapon. Danzo started. The civilian looked at Danzo questionably, while the clan heads glared at the old war hawk. They were aware of Minato's legacy and didn't appreciate him being called a weapon. Hiruzen was pissed as well but did well to hide it. And weapon do you speak of? The clan heads turned to the leader and could tell he was joking. Did we lose a legendary sword, a kunai, or some type of shuriken? I'm sure they are all replaceable. The Hokage asked, with a small chuckle causing the clan heads to smirk. Danzo gritted his teeth at the joke but continued. I mean our Jinchuriki, the loss of it will leave our village weak, especially since the Uchiha massacre left us with one Uchiha. Well, I'm surprised that you worry over young Naruto, but let me inform you that the delusional brain of yours, Naruto-kun, is not a weapon for this village. In fact, he has every right to hate this village. Yet he still strives to protect it. You should be grateful. You and the goddamn civilian council have no right to request anything of the boy, and just so you know, I know exactly where he is. Hiruzen informed. Then can you please inform us on his location? Sorry, but that information is classified. But rest assured he is safe, Hiruzen interrupted. Danzan was doing well to hide his emotions. He was aware that the Hokage knew he wanted Naruto for himself and was doing well to hide him. What he found strange was that his root agent that was tailing him was found dead and he had no idea who it was. Someone was protecting him from in and outside this village. Koharu decided to speak. Hokage-sama, we are just concerned for the status of the village. With the Naruto-san, the village will be looked down as weak. The Sandame chuckled. I find your concern for the village false. You and the council keep others from adopting the boy, making him feel lonely, beat on him and make him feel hated. You do realize without me and the ramen owners, Naruto-kun would have given into his inner darkness a long time ago and most like result in the release of the fox. Hiruzen stated, causing everyone one to pale in fear. All except one ignorant council. I say we keep the demon away and good riddance. We have Uchiha-sama here and that's, his head was sliced off by a hidden anbu, causing the council to shiver in fear. He knew the law. Anyway, I assure you the boy is safe and that's all you need to know. Meeting adjourned. 2 years later, Hiruzen was glaring at the stack of paper and trying to find out the secret behind the devil. As he continued mentally cursing the stack, he felt the power pulse of chakra behind him. Soon after, his anbu fell to the floor unconscious. He was to question what just accrued until he heard a voice behind. Hey Gigi, how have you been? Hiruzen turned around and saw a blonde-haired boy sitting on the window sill, smiling at him. Naruto-kun, is that you? The blonde kept chuckling. Of course it is, Datbeo. Naruto, 12 years old, got off the window and hugged his surrogate grandfather. Hiruzen was happy to see the boy, but after the greeting he noticed Naruto was shirtless. Plus Naruto looked like he was 16 years old. He had to say he was impressed. Naruto's hair was spikier, and he had a six-pack. He was well-toned, but another thing he noticed was Naruto's eyes was blue but slit. Naruto, why aren't you wearing a shirt? Naruto paused for a moment, then a few drops of blood trickled down his nose, making the Hokage more curious. I outgrew them years ago. Understandable. When you went in the bunker you were small, but that doesn't answer the question. And why is your nose bleeding? Gigi, I haven't left the bunker since I went in. Hiruzen nodded. And neither did the girls 18 years old. Hiruzen nodded, still not seeing where the blonde was going with this. Naruto signed. So if I outgrew my clothes, so did they, and since we never left the bunker we. Naruto stopped to see if his Gigi got the message. Hiruzen had a blank stare for a while, until shot back because of a rocket nosebleed. Naruto knew this was the outcome. Anyway Gigi, I need you to give this to Sum-san. This is a list of clothes for the girls. They've been for years and it's getting hard not to make a move. Hiruzen got up and wiped his nose. That's fine, but what about you? The girls said they don't trust me to pick out my clothes, so they're taking me shopping later to play dress up. Naruto blushed a bit. Anyway, tell Sum she can come by my compound to drop the girls' clothes off. Naruto then jumped out the window, and as he did, Hiruzen noticed a fox tattoo on his shoulder with a 1 on the fox head. But he snapped out his thoughts when he heard girls squeal. He looked out the window to see girls chasing the blonde, almost like they forgot he was the so-called demon. Namikaze compound. After being chased by a horde of girls and losing them, Naruto arrived home. When he walked in, the first thing he noticed was a Yugao And all girls are but no, maybe Small Lime, sitting at the kitchen table reading his new book, The Demon Princess Volume 1. Naruto couldn't get enough of this sight no matter how many times he gazed at any of the girls. After the training, Yugao had a toned body which fit her. Naruto was the same size as her because of Kurumi turning him and his spoils to quarter Hanyu. What amazed him the most was that she had double Ds, which was a great benefit for him and it put her in the lead in size. But the biggest change to Yugao was that she had red streaks in her hair. Hey Yugao, I'm back. Said girl looked up and smiled. Welcome back Naruto-sama. Yugao got up and approached Naruto and wrapped her arms around his neck. Yugao, we are equals. You don't have to call me that. Naruto signed, making the girl giggle. She removed one of her arms and traced her fingers under his chin to her lips. I know, but I'm the submissive type. She leaned in and gave him a deep kiss on his lips, which was returned as Naruto wrapped his arm around her waist. It went on for a minute and they broke apart and Yugao went back to the table and began to read her book. I'm surprised you're reading that again, Naruto said, wrapping his arms around her from behind. It's a good book, which brings me to ask. When are you going to start volume 2? Yugao asked, leaning back, loving Naruto's warmth. I have to publish this first and after that, I'll start it. Naruto leaned and whispered, I'll let you have the first copy, our little secret. Yugao smirked, with a huge blush on her face when she felt Naruto's breath. So where's the others? Kurenai-chan is in the library looking through scrolls, while Anko-chan and Hana-chan are taking a nap. Naruto nodded, giving Yugao a kiss on the cheek before proceeding to the library. When he arrived, Kurenai was deep into the scroll sitting on the desk, with her legs crossed. Naruto had to admit, Kurenai had a mature sexy aura. She was slimmer than Yugao but gorgeous all the same. Unlike Yugao hair, Kurenai bottom quarter was red, and her size was D cups. Naruto smirked then knocked on the wall. Kurenai looked up from the scroll and smiled when she noticed her favorite blonde. I got to say Kurenai-hime, you can really pull off the mature beauty look. Why thank you Naruto-kun, and I got to say you look good yourself. Naruto approached the chair by the desk and sat down, pulling Kurenai on his lap. Kurenai chuckled and put her hand on his chest and gave him a welcome kiss. Did you do what we asked? Yeah. Soom should be here soon. Whatcha reading on? I was wondering if there was a way to use genjutsu through elemental manipulation. And use it through a medium beside my senses. Kurenai said reading the scroll. Have you tried using fuinjutsu, like a seal that connects your chakra to it, like a transceiver? Naruto suggested. Kurenai eyes widen, just like the Hiraishin mark, but I don't know. She paused and smirked at Naruto, using her arms to lift her, she gave Naruto a pleading look. May you please teach me fuinjutsu, Naruto sensai? She asked, poking out her lip. Naruto blushed a bit and cleared his throat. You don't have to do that Kurenai-hime, I'll do anything to help you. Kurenai smiled and leaned up to kiss the blonde. I know, I just love it when your beautiful eyes gaze as my beautiful body. Kurenai responded, with a wink. It's hard to avoid. Naruto chuckled before removing the raven-haired kunoichi from his, much to her dismay. I'm about to go wake Anko-chan and Hana-chan. Kurenai nodded and continued to read. Naruto went up the stairs and into the queen bedroom to find the two girls cuddling together sleeping. Anko's body was well balanced, slim and toned. She was the shortest of the four but her appeal makes up for it. She had red tips at the end of her hair and like Kurenai D cups. Hana had more muscle than the girls but still had a gorgeous body. She was the tallest of the four and the end of her ponytail was red. She had C cups but a bigger ass. Anko-chan, Hana-chan, time to wake up. They groaned a bit but were still sleeping. Naruto walked to them to wake them, but as soon as he got closer, they pulled him in the bed and started kissing. When they pulled back, Naruto had a goofy grin on his face. Anko gave him a sexy smirk. Hey Naru-chan, did you enjoy that? Hana gave a confident grin and joined Anko. Most guys would kill to be in bed with two girls in the. Naruto got up and smiled. You planned that? Both girls nodded, causing the blonde to shake his head in amusement. We have to get ready, your mom will be here soon, Hana-chan. Anko-chan can make sure the hot spring is heated. The girls got up and went downstairs with Naruto following behind. As soon as he made it downstairs, he noticed Tsume was here. Tsume turned to Naruto and gave him a feral grin. Damn, pup you grew. Guess Hokage-sama wasn't joking. Tsume felt the power radiating from Naruto. Something was screaming alpha about him and her and hormones were acting up. Thanks Tsume-sama. Cut the. Sama. Shit, pup I'm not that old. Tsume growled. If you have any badass girls in the harem let me know, and I'll decide. Naruto gave her a foxy grin, making her blush. My apologies, I was just trying to show respect, Sum-chan. Naruto said in a quiet tone, making the Inuzuka clan head blush harder. We was about to go into the hot spring, want to join? Sum was about to deny the request, but when she looked around and saw everyone else and Hana giving her the okay, mouthing, he's packing, she accepted, with a certain image in her head. She stepped into the compound and everyone proceeded to the spa. 2 years after they left the bunker, Naruto entered the academy and was sitting at his desk waiting for his sensei to find out who his sensei was. Even though Naruto was ahead of his peers, he still was required to go to become a genin. But it wasn't a total loss, because of Kurenai he made 2 new friends, or should he say vixens. And speaking of vixens, 2 years ago during the event with the hot spring, somehow Sum ended up joining. All it took was for Naruto's dominant aura, Sum getting a glimpse of his package, and the girls informed the clan head that Naruto can turn her to a Hanyu and give her youth. She didn't mind because she saw Naruto as alpha and she knew of his heritage, so in the future it would establish a good relationship between the Namikaze, Uzumaki, and Inuzuka. Before he joined the academy, Kurenai had requested a favor. 2 years ago hot spring, Naruto was currently straddling Sum, teeth sinking into Sum's shoulder. After a few more seconds he released his grip and looked at her. She opened her eyes slowly and gave a feral grin to the blonde before reaching behind his head and pulling him into a deep kiss, which he happily returned. Hana was chuckling at her mom's behavior but was happy for her. She had to admit it's going to be weird to share a guy with your mother, but she would accept it. After a few minutes Naruto separated from Sum and sat next to Anko and Hana. Welcome to the club, Sumheim. Thanks Foxy-kun, and after we're finished, I'll put you, me and my pup in a marriage contract. With this Inuzuka will protect you from the Uchiha ass-kissing civilian council. Sum said, taking a spot between Kurenai and Yugao. Naruto contemplated something and smiled. Sumheim, would it be possible for you to represent 2 more clans besides yours? Yes, as long as I'm engaged to them. Sum paused and gave Naruto a feral grin. I see, with our status and me being a clan, the civilian council can't interfere. So Foxy-kun wants me to represent the Uzumaki and Namikaze clan. With this we're close to evening out the odds. Well, if you need help evening out the odds, everyone turned to Kurenai, who was giving out a sexy smirk. I know 2 girls who have a crush on you, both of them are like sisters to me. Who are they? Naruto asked. Kurenai smiled and walked over to Naruto and sat on his lap. She brought her face close to his and whispered in his ear. Naruto's eyes widen and smirk a bit, then once Kurenai pulls back, Naruto captures her lips, receiving a moan in return. He pulled back 30 seconds later with a smile on his face. You're a genius, but do they have a crush on me? Kurenai, returning to her position next Sum in the hot spring, smiled at the question. They told me you saved them from bullies and admire your courage. Soon it evolved into a crush after they witnessed your treatment by the villagers and still went on smiling. Naruto nodded. Will they be upset how you disappeared on them? Naruto asked and shook her head. Don't worry, I told them I was going on a training trip. Kurenai was reassured. Naruto smiled and nodded. He was going to relax when he heard a vixen in his head. Naruto-sama, when are you going to summon me? I want to enjoy the hot spring. Kurumi pleaded. Naruto chuckled and went through a few hand signs. Summoning jutsu. A cloud of red smoke appeared, and once the smoke dissolved, a Kurumi was standing there smiling. Sum's eyes widened and gave a questionable gaze to Naruto. Sumheim, meet Kurumi, the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Flashback end. Naruto snapped out his thoughts when his 2 new best friends and vixens walked up to him. Hey Naruto-kun, are you excited for today? Naruto turned and saw Hinata Hyuga with her usual happy smile and Izumi Uchiha wearing a confident grin. Kurenai had introduced the girls to Naruto before he joined the academy, and to say they were beyond happy was an understatement. After they established a friendship, Naruto noticed that they each had a problem with their skills, Hinata with her Juken and Izumi with her Sharingan, which surprised Naruto since she was 12. Instead of training them himself, he asked Anko and Hana to train Hinata in a snake style, confidence and medical techniques. And for Izumi, she was being trained by Yugao and Kurenai in learning how to rely on her senses, to use Atanto and Genjutsu along chakra control. After 6 months, Naruto told them about his status as the last of his 2 clans and introduced them to Kurumi. He was relieved that they didn't mind him being a Han-yu and was surprised when they requested to be marked. They were aware that they could never date another guy, but replied there was no one better. Hinata was now as confident as a lion and Izumi could not only maintain her dojutsu, but she got her 3rd tomo. Kurumi even removed the yin energy of the Sharingan and replaced it with yang energy, giving her the ability to gain the Mangekyo Sharingan without a death. The color of her Sharingan was more of a ruby crimson now than a bloody red, but unfortunately from her mother's scroll, she will still suffer from blindness, but on the plus side, no one can replace their eyes with her because it contained Hanyu blood. The 2 girls were instructed to hide their skills, to not give their hand, and were not to act friendly towards each other during the academy, which they agreed to even though they didn't want to. Kurumi then made the older girls take the Jonin exam, which they succeeded in passing, and the girls took it a step further and became Anbu, which made Naruto's academy days easier. When Naruto joined, there were a few teachers who tried to sabotage, but the next day they never appeared again. Naruto had a feeling it was the older girls because they were always watching him from the shadows. After becoming a Han-yu, the girls develop quite nicely in Naruto's opinion. Hinata looks the same as Shippuden with red streaks in her hair, but she still wears the jacket from Naruto. She has double C's. Izumi's body was like an imitated version of Yugao, slim and athletic. She wore a dark blue tank top and black Anbu shorts, and just like Kurenai, the bottom part of her hair was red. She has C-cups, and to both the girls and Naruto dismay they started gaining a lot of attention from a lot of boys. "Hey Hinata-chan, Izumi-chan, are you excited?" Naruto asked. "Of course, although it would be better if we're on the same team." Hinata responded. "I agree, you 2 are the only one who I would want to be teams with, but since me and Hinata have different dojutsu that can't work together according to everyone else, we won't be on the same team." Izumi informed the 2. "Well, I do know that Hinata-chan is going to be on the Kurenai Heim team. But I'm not sure which team we're going to be on, Izumi-chan." Naruto said. "I think. Hey, what are you 2 doing sitting next to this loser?" The 3 looked up and saw Kiba giving the girls a perverted grin. Izumi stared at him for a while and turned back to Naruto, ignoring Kiba. "Anyway, before I was rudely interrupted, I asked you a question, Hinata-chan and Izumi-chan, why are you with this loser?" Kiba said, taking a seat next to Izumi, putting his arm around her. Izumi was getting agitated and turned to Hinata. "May I take this one?" Izumi asked the Hyuga. Hinata giggled and gave a nod. Izumi smiled and in a flash grabbed Kiba's neck, pinning him to the wall. Izumi glared at Kiba with a cold gaze, causing the boy to quiver in fear. "Now listen here, Mutt. I'm going to give you 3 rules. Rule 1. No looking at me nor Hinata-san pervertedly. Rule 2. No touching us at all, only Naruto-kun have that privilege. And finally Rule 3. Never insult Naruto-kun in front of us, or do I have to bring your Hana-san and Sum-san into this?" Kiba's face went pale at the thought of his sister and mom punishing him. They strictly told him not to insult Naruto and show him respect. He ignored, thinking he was the alpha and they were delusional. But now he was having second thoughts. "Fine, but we're not done." Kiba plopped on the floor and went to his own seat as Izumi returned to her spot next to Naruto, enjoying each other's company as the rest of the class walked in. As Naruto was Hinata, he felt irritation through his mark, and it was coming from Izumi. He turned to see her glaring to the front of the class. He followed her gaze towards Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto understood. Izumi was half Uchiha and was kicked out by Sasuke's father. She resented the Uchiha because they care about power more than family. In her words, they were selfish, arrogant, and spoiled high horse assholes. Naruto gently squeezed her hand, grabbing her attention. He closed the gap and gave her a quick peck on the lips, making her blush. Don't worry about him, you're part of our family now. Izumi smiled and nodded. Hinata smiled at the interaction and joined in. If you want Izumi-san, I can call you Oni-san, the Hyuga offered. Sure. Who wouldn't want a cute little sister like you? Izumi answered. Oni-san it is. Hinata giggled and Naruto was smiling towards the interaction. But their moment was ruined when they heard two female voices coming from the hallway. I'm first. Two girls by the name of Ino Yamanaka and Sakura Haruno, two of Sasuke's fangirls. Naruto always questions why they were even in the academy, they never try and only seem interested in the emo. But soon Iruka walked and saw the girls bantering about a seat next to the royal stick in the ass. So he used his big head jutsu to force them to sit down. Excuse me Iruka-sensei, but where is Mizuki-sensei? After the question was asked by Sakura, Naruto began to chuckle a bit, especially since he knew exactly where the hating bastard was, after what happened last night. Flashback. On top of the Hokage monument, Naruto was lip to lip making out with Sume. After he took her out on a date, Naruto decided to show her the full moon from the best view, and because it was the full moon, Sume was lusting for the blonde very badly and she couldn't contain it. After bringing her up there, she pounced on the blonde and smashing her lips against his, while straddling him, with Naruto holding her ass, supporting her and for his pleasure. But the moment was interrupted when both Naruto and Sume smelt snake and chemical fumes. They both turned their heads to see a short Naruto, wearing an orange jumpsuit, jumping out the Hokage window with a scroll on his back. Sume and Naruto turned to each other and grinned in amusement. Naruto-kun, why didn't you tell me you were planning on stealing the forbidden scroll? Naruto adopted a thinking pose before answering. I didn't know I had a plan, but I gotta say, the orange jumpsuit looks nice, maybe I should get a pair. You better not, the color is fine but the jumpsuit is terrible. If you do, you will not be allowed to go shopping by yourself. Sume threatened playfully. Naruto chuckled and got up. Alright, but can you inform Gigi about this? I'll handle Mizuki-tem. Sume nodded and shushin wei, Neko-chan. Yugao appeared out of nowhere. How may I be of service to Naruto-sama? Naruto chuckled at Yugao's submissive attitude, and if he was free he would probably pounce on her. Yugao, feeling his lust through the mark, smirked with a blush on her face but wasn't noticed because of the mask. Naruto-sama, I'm happy that you would make a move but maybe another time. Naruto snapped out of it and chuckled nervously. Sorry but later tonight meet me in my room. Yugao blushed and nodded in excitement. Right now, I want you to come with me to subdue Mizuki. I'll fight him but I want you to deliver him to our hubby Haim. Yugao nodded and they both started leaping after the fake Naruto. If you don't mind me asking, why not just kill Mizuki? Yugao asked. As much as I would love to put him out of his misery, I'm pretty sure he is working with Orochi-tem, and when Anko-chan finds out, I believe Mizuki will suffer a fate worse than death. They both shudder at the thought of Anko torturing sessions. At least she would be happy to torture someone who had it out for you. Who knows, she might give you a reward for the capture. Yugao commented as they proceeded through the forest. With Mizuki and Iruka. Naruto, why are you doing this? Don't you want to be Hokage? Iruka asked, looking from the ground at Naruto, standing on the branch. Haha, you are a fool Iruka, I'm not Naruto, I'm the Ninetales and I need more power to destroy this pathetic village. Naruto answered, laughing menacingly. Iruka narrowed his eyes. Something not right here. Iruka thought. Who are you? There's no way you are not Naruto. I know Naruto, he's a hard worker and would never stoop so low into stealing and cheating out hard work, Iruka said. At least someone knows me. Nice jumpsuit by the way. Both Iruka and Naruto turned to see another Naruto standing on a branch on the side. Uruka's eyes widened while Naruto was seething. Mizuki Tem, can you drop the act and next time you do a transformation, get my height right, I'm not that short anymore. Naruto gritted his teeth before a puff of smoke surrounded him, revealing the silver-haired Chunin. I don't know why you are here, but this is great. Now I can kill you and Uruka and blame his death on you. I'll be seen as a hero and they will let me have the scroll. Except for the fact that the Hokage loves me, you can't open the scroll because of the blood seal, and there's no way you're walking out of here alive. Naruto challenged. You're a fool if you think you can beat me, a Chunin. Mizuki taunted and began to smirk evilly. Hey Naruto, do you know why the village hates you? Uruka got worried, while Naruto cocked an eyebrow. No Mizuki, it's forbidden. Uruka tried to warn. It's because the Kyuubi was sealed inside of you, you are the Kyuubi. Mizuki laughed, expecting a shocked gasp from the blonde, but when he looked at Naruto, he just had a blank face. I'm the Kyuubi? Naruto asked. Then he pulled down his pants and bent down in front of Mizuki, showing his ass. I don't see 9 tails, do you? Mizuki was seething. No, you insolent brat, the fox took over your body. The Chunin yelled. Really? Naruto asked, pulling his pants back up. If I was the fox, why would I eat ramen and play a few pranks, when I could have killed everyone? Naruto asked, tilting his head. Because you're just a brat, you're weak. Mizuki answered smugly. But you said I was the fox. Naruto responded, his eyes flashing red while looking at Mizuki's eyes without the Chunin knowing. Naruto linked Mizuki's mind with his before continuing. And if I'm the fox, what's that behind you? Mizuki narrowed his eyes and turned around, and his face turned white as he sank to his knees, looking up at a giant fox staring down at him. So the Tem who's been messing with Naruto-sama. Naruto's sweat dropped at the suffix. Mizuki just sat there in fear, not knowing what to say. So, any last word before you die? Mizuki just stayed quiet for a brief moment before speaking. How are there's 2 Kyuubi? The scarred Chunin asked. Naruto and Kurumi just stared at him, thinking the same thing. How can someone be so ignorant and stupid, and be a Chunin? Naruto snapped his fingers and everything turned back to normal. Mizuki was cuddling against a tree, while Uruka approached the blonde. What happened to him? Uruka asked. I placed him under a genjutsu, Naruto lied. Neko-chan. The name Anbu appeared out of nowhere, bowing. Hi, Uzumaki-sama, Yugao said, playing the role to up Naruto's status, and considering how impressed Uruka was, she has to say it was working. Can you take the traitorous Tem to Anko-chan, and tell her she has a new toy, and also tell her he smells a lot like snakes? Uruka paled. Even blood prison was better than a session with Anko. Yugao giggled a bit before responding. Of course, and just to let you know, Sandame-sama will be here soon. Yugao finished before picking up the Chunin and shunshin away. The Hokage then arrived and Uruka explained the event that happened before he arrived. Flashback end. After explaining, the whole class turned to Naruto in awe and some in jealousy, all with the same question in their mind. What kind of genjutsu did he use to beat a Chunin? Now that is over, I'll begin assigning teams. After starting with Team 1 and going down until he reached Team 7 inches, Team 7 will be Sai, Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha. Your sensei will be Kakashi Hatake. Yes, alright, love prevails. Sakura squealed, standing up, giving Ino a victory pose. Those 2 better not get in my way. Sasuke thought to himself, resting his hand on his chin. Sai was just smiling creepily. Team 8 will be Shino Aburama, Hinata Hyuga, and Kiba Inuzuka. Your sensei will be Kurenai Yuhi. Shino didn't react, Kiba seemed happy, and Hinata was okay with being on a team with her sister figure. Team 9 is still active. Team 10 will be Shikamaru Nara, Shoji Akamaiki and Ino Yamanaka. Your sensei will be Asuma Sarutobi. What? I'm on the same team as the lazy bum and Mr. Eat a Lot, plus Sakura gets to be with Sasuke-kun. Ino complained. Troublesome blonde. Shikamaru muttered with his head down, while Choji kept eating his chips. And finally, because these two have perfect scores tied with Hinata, they will form a two-man cell. Team 11 will be. Iruka paused and rubbed his eyes and looked up at Naruto and grew nervously. Those two put together with her as a sensei, what was Hokage-sama thinking? Iruka thought to herself before continuing. Naruto Uzumaki and Izumi Uchiha. Your sensei will be. Before he could finish, a purple blur burst through the window. The sexy and no longer single, Anko Mitarashi has arrived. Anko yelled, holding a banner. Some of the guys were drooling, besides Sasuke, Shino, Sai, and Shikamaru at the sexy Kunoichi, while the girls were envious of her body. I'm looking for a hot blonde and beautiful raven-head girl. Naruto and Izumo chuckled and stood up. Meet me at the dango shop ASAP. Anko ordered before disappearing in a fire shushin. Naruto and Izumi followed with a wind and lightning shushin, surprising the class. How did they do that? I'll get Izumi to tell me. Sasuke thought to himself. Dango shop. Anko was sitting at the table waiting for her new students, enjoying some dangos thinking about the future. She was excited to be Naruto's sensei because she would be with him all the time. She also liked Izumi. Even though the young Uchiha took pride in her clan, she wasn't a spoiled brat like the other one. As she was enjoying herself preparing to put another dango in her mouth, she felt someone cover her lips with theirs. She opened her eyes and saw blonde hair. She smiled and returned the kiss, adding a little tongue. Izumi chuckled while everyone else blushed. Naruto pulled away and smiled. It tastes like dango. Anko gave him a flirty smile. After that type of action, I might just pass you and not give you a test. Naruto chuckled a bit. Well, to be honest, I wasn't going to test you too because your teamwork is the best. But you can test your skill tomorrow. Izumi raised one of her eyebrows. What do you mean? Uchiha asked, taking a seat next to Naruto and proceeded to eat some dangos. Well, usually when you're put on a team, the Jonin sensei is supposed to test you on your teamwork the next day. But since you two trained together before and practically showered together, Anko said with a grin making the two blush, I decided to see how strong you two were compared to someone else. And who exactly are we going to fight? Naruto asked his sensei, lover. Just a pervert with an orange book. But enough of that, time for some team bonding, and what a better place than the sauna. Naruto blushed a bit before shaking his head in amusement, while Izumi was giggling. But there is one day I want to know, Izumi-chan, how did you meet Naruto and Nai-chan? Izumi shook a bit and signed. She knew she couldn't avoid it anymore. She didn't want to have any trust issues. Well, I met Kurenai-chan when I was 5 years old. I was getting picked on by people from my own clan for being a hybrid. Kurenai noticed and helped me. After that we kinda bonded. She later introduced me to Hinata-chan and she became like a second sister after Kurenai-chan. A year later my brother, Shisui-ni, introduced me to Itachi-san and he helped me train since no one else would besides my brother and mother. Izumi said with a smile and then frowned because she didn't know how Anko would react. As she was getting nervous, she felt something grab her hand. She looked over to Naruto, who was giving her a warm smile that washed away her nervousness. She turned back to Anko and breathed a bit. 2 years later, as you know, the Uchiha clan was killed by Itachi-san. I didn't care about the clan, but he killed my brother. Izumi started to tear up. Imagine that guy you looked up to, betraying you. Anko slowly reached up to her neck where her mark used to be. I don't have. As you know, I used to be an Orochimaru apprentice, but he ended up betraying us and the villagers took it out on me. That's why the next time I see him, I will put his head on a platter. It was a good thing Kurenai-chan, Han-chan and Yugao-chan still were willing to be my friend. Plus I also have to thank a certain blonde-haired Gaki for removing that pain in the ass seal. Anko finished as she winked towards Naruto. But continue. Izumi nodded. After the massacre, I was approached by someone who promised me power to get revenge on Itachi. I was in a depressed state, that I accepted the offer without hesitation. Izumi said. If I recall, when we left the chamber, Nai-chan went to look for you and Hinata-chan, but she said you were acting weird, almost like an emotionless. Anko paused, then narrowed her eyes. Izu-chan, did he approach you? Anko asked in a serious tone. Izumi nodded. Yeah, Danzo-san made me a route and my first mission was to gather intel on Naruto-kun, the Uchiha explained with regret. Flashback 2 years ago, Naruto was walking from Ichiraku's after visiting his favorite ramen, heading home with a happy stomach until he felt a presence behind. Someone is following me. It feels like a chunin. I don't feel any hate nor anger from this person. Naruto thought to himself as he led his stalker towards empty training. When arrived at training ground 44 in front of the gate, he stopped moving with his hands in his pocket. You can come out now. After a few minutes a female figure jumped in front. How did you know? I can sense chakra. Why are you following me? Naruto asked, narrowing his eyes. He can see black chakra coming out of her mouth. I guess it's time to help Izumi for Kurenai-chan. From what I can tell, the black chakra is leading towards some type of seal in her mouth. But who? Naruto stops his thoughts and smiles. I was following you because I'm interested in you. Izumi answered with a small smile. Well, I would believe you if you didn't look dead inside your eyes. Plus I thought it was against Danzo's belief for his tools to have emotions. Izumi's eyes widened as she leapt back, but as she did, Naruto vanished from sight and appeared behind her. Sorry about this, but Kurenai is worried about you, so have a good night's sleep, he said before knocking her out. Namikaze resident. Izumi woke up tied to a chair. She tried to move and produce some chakra but couldn't. Don't bother. Izumi looked up and saw Naruto looking at her. Sorry, but I sealed your chakra and removed the slave seal from your tongue. Why didn't you kill me? Because it would upset Kurenai-chan and Hinata-chan for one, and two, I remember protecting you from some bullies when we were 4 and you seemed like a nice person. But why the change? Kurenai-chan said you wanted to be friends with me and become closer to me, but when I look at you, all I see is emptiness. Like she cares. She abandoned me when the clan was massacred, and what's worse is my idol was the one who killed everyone, including my brother. No one cares. You wrong, Kurenai-chan, Hinata-chan and I care about you. Do you think working for that cowardly war hawk is the way to go? He just uses you to get to me, and once he has me, you will be nothing but fodder. Naruto explained. Izumi sneered at the comment, but it didn't bother the blonde. What do you know? He promised me power and all I have to give him is your eternal loyalty. Izumi paused and nodded. Did he tell you that route is supposed to be disbanded? Do you know what that means for you? He can't risk the Hokage finding out, so if he feels like you would be exposed, that seal on your tongue will kill, not that he would keep you around. If he trusted you, he wouldn't have put a slave seal on you. Izumi was angry, but not at the blonde, but because he was right. All she cared about was her revenge. So what? I have nothing else to live for but my revenge. Should I just give up? Naruto closed his eyes and walked in front of her. He then bent down to her level and opened his eyes. Izumi calmed down when she met his gaze. She felt warm and he looked like he cared for her, but why? If you have nothing to live for, then I'll be your light. Izumi's eyes widened as she felt her body tremble. I'm not saying give up on revenge, just don't let it consume you. If you need a light to guide you through your hatred, I will be that light. I'll help you get stronger and I'll help you with your revenge. Izumi was crying. She didn't feel this type of care since her brother. Can she do it? Can she trust this blonde? He protected her once before. How do I know I can trust you? Naruto gave her his foxy grin, which made her blush. Because I'm going to become Hokage and the Hokage protects all his precious people. I'm one of your precious people. You're precious to Kurenai-chan and that means you're precious to me. I will never abandon you like Itachi. Naruto said as he cut the restraint. When Izumi was free, she leapt into Naruto's arm, embracing him in a hug. I'm sorry, Can you tell Kurenai nay I'm sorry? Naruto wrapped her arms around Izumi and smiled. You can tell her yourself when she returns. If you ever need anything, don't be afraid to ask. Naruto offered. Izumi looked up at Naruto with a real smile and nodded. Flashback end. After that, Naruto took me and Hinata-chan to the bunker with Kurumi-sensei, and the rest is history. Izumi finished, wrapping her arms around Naruto's, laying her head on his shoulder. Wow, to think that asshole Warhawk would stoop so low. But it's to be expected. Anyway, let's go home and get some rest for your tomorrow fight with the Cyclops. But while we wait, we can do some skinship exercises. Anko said with a perverted smile. After finishing their dangos, the group head back to the Uzumaki complex to relax a bit. When they arrived, they noticed they were the only one home. So Naruto went to his room and got out his clothes and put a towel over his waist and headed off to the bathhouse. After putting his clothes in the locker room, he headed outside. There you are, we've been waiting. Naruto turned to the voice and saw a very Anko and Izumi wearing a towel sitting in the water. It's time for some team training. Lime scene warning. Naruto chuckled and stepped into the water. Anko looked at Izumi and smiled. Izu-chan, as your sensei, I have to test your teamwork with your teammate, so I want you to deepen your bond with Foxy-kun. Izumi gave a flirtatious smile and approached the blonde and straddled his lap and wrapped her arms around his neck. Then she pressed her forehead against his and smiled. Ready, Naruto-kun? She asked, licking her lips. Naruto smiled and gave her a nod. She captured his lips with her as the blonde wrapped his muscular arms around her waist, pulling her closer. Izumi was licking his lips asking for permission, which obliged as Naruto accepted her into his mouth. Izumi started to moan as she felt her core start to heat up. She separated herself from him, her face red as tomatoes. Please, Naruto-kun, touch me more. Naruto smiled and removed his hands from her waist and started to fondle her, causing her to squeal a bit. Don't. Stop. Izumi moaned, bucking her hips back and forth against his crotch. Naruto began to release some moans. He then felt a pair of hands grab his face and turned his head. Anko licked her lips at Naruto's lust-filled eyes and gave him a seductive smile. It's time for you to bond with Sensei, Foxy-kun. Anko teased before capturing his lips, forcing her tongue down his throat, causing both of them to moan in each other's mouths. Anko then took one of hands and put it between her legs. Naruto caught on and started to rub her womanhood, causing Anko to rotate her hips. Izumi started to move fast, biting her lip. She felt herself build up a little more. Anko also felt herself reading to come soon as well against Naruto finger play and her playing with her own. The breath started to hitch until it was time to release. I'm coming. Both kunoichi cried as they released their pent-up lust. The three didn't notice that there was a pink light surrounding them for a brief moment. That felt amazing. Izumi said between breaths, getting off Naruto's lap. Huh, yeah, Anko agreed. She then turned to Naruto manhood and smiled. It looks like Foxy-kun hasn't been released yet. Izumi, let's show Foxy-kun how much we appreciate him and continue our team bonding. Izumi looked at Naruto's package and smiled. Hi, sensei. They both then sandwich his manhood with the and proceed with the paisery. Naruto started bucking his hip forward as both kunoichi started to move up and down to the rhythm. How is Naruto-kun? Are we becoming better teammates? Izumi asked. This feels amazing. Best exercise I ever had. You feel amazing. Naruto answered. And they're all yours, Foxy-kun. Anko said as she started to lick his shaft. That's right, Naruto. Whenever you want. Izumi added in, mimicking Anko's action. They continued this until they felt Naruto start to throb. Girls, I'm about to. Naruto said as the kunoichi sped up their action. They were soon surrounded by pink aura again as Naruto threw his head back. I'm coming. Naruto released his cum on there and out of breath. Anko and Izumi licked up the sperm and smiled as the pink aura went into their body. Good job, you two. No one has better chemistry than you two. Anko said. Naruto nodded his head in agreement and sat in the water with the girls on each side. Lime scene over. Well, that was a interesting show. The group turned in front of them and saw Kurumi on the other side of the sauna, drinking some sake. Now that the show is over, I'm sure you three haven't noticed the pinkish aura around you after your fun. Naruto chuckled nervously. Sorry, I missed it. Kurumi smiled. It's understandable. After all, you're surrounded by three beautiful women. Anyway, even though it was an accident, you three just performed a bonding ritual. When Hanyu bond with their mates, their chakra, physical energy, mental energy and spiritual energy combine into one. Then it's multiplied by the number of people who perform the ritual, in this case 3, and after that it splits among you 3, increasing your overall strength. But there has to be a limit or catch. Naruto said. How perspective of you, Naruto-sama, there is. The first condition is, you cannot perform the ritual unless you reach the limit of where normal human training can take you. 2. You have to be bonding through the mate mark as you know, so no outside girls. 3. You can only perform it on the full moon through sexual acts like you just did. Kurumi explained. Is that why I feel so energized, Kurumi-sama? Izumi asked. Kurumi nodded. There's also something that benefits you, Anko-san, Kurumi said, catching the girl's attention. You see, when a Hanyu without a Kekkei Genkei goes through the ritual, they gain a sub-element Kekkei Genkei. It takes your major element and one of the alphas, and combines them. Since yours is Kaden, you could have Yoden, lava, futon, boil, or Shikuden, scorch. Later on, find some chakra paper and find out. Anko nodded in excitement. Sweet. Can't wait to test it out later. Kurumi smiled. And there is one more thing. You see, now you three just moved up to being 50% Hanyu. Your healing factor and senses increase as well as your chakra reserves. Plus you are closer to the time we need to start training you to learn spirit mode. What's spirit mode, Kurumi-chan? After you destroy the negative energy inside you, the demonic chakra is purified. Then combine that with your mental energy and your spiritual energy or your life force. Kurumi then stood up and sprouted her ears and tails. You would look something like this. In this form you can combine your spiritual chakra, as it's now called, in this form. She then forms a huge shuriken out of red energy. You can add an element to this as well, and when you throw it, she threw it outside in the sky and it exploded. But this form only lasts depends on control over spiritual chakra. When can we learn it? The three asked in excitement. Yeah, that looks pretty cool, Kurumi-sama. The group turned behind them and saw Yugao, Kurenai, Hinata, Sum and Hana walking in, with the first three and the others covered by a towel. Hope you don't mind us joining. Yugao said. Sure, Himes, how much did you hear? Naruto asked. The 50% Hanyu part. Kurumi nodded and began to explain everything to the rest of the group. She also informed them that they had to wait for the next full moon to perform another ritual. Naruto asked, will it increase his Hanyu blood? No, it won't, but it will increase your lifespan. Now enough talk, we came to enjoy ourselves. The group nodded and proceeded to just relax while a few of the girls made out with their alpha leader. 1 hour later, Kurumi told Naruto and the girls to meet in the training room. She pulled out a scroll with a symbol of a heart-shaped moon. I think it's time for you guys to have this. I got this from my world. She opened the scroll and there was a symbol of a lock. I want you guys to bite your thumb and perform the summoning jutsu. When the jutsu is done you will have a new summon, but be warned, it will be one of 4 animals and it will get rid of any contracts you have. Kurumi informed, looking at Anko. That's fine, I really hate Manda anyway. Anko replied. Good. Also, after you perform the jutsu on the scroll, you will each have a chain appear on your arm. It will be a new weapon only you and your mates can hold. Kurumi said. What's the weapon call? Yugao asked in excitement. Kurumi smirked. It's called the Keyblade. So today is the day. I can't wait until Anko gives us the result. What do you think they'll do? Yugao asked. She was with her friends Hana, Kurenai and Hinata at the local dango place. They were discussing the possible results of Team Anko. They had a goal involving Kakashi. I'm pretty sure they'll do fine. Oh shit, he's here. Kurenai said, pinching her temples. All the other girls gave her a confused look. That was until Asuma appeared. They now knew what she meant. Hugh Kurenai, how are you? Asuma said, taking a seat next to the red-eye Jonin. Kurenai signed. I'm doing fine. Why are you here, Asuma-san? Kurenai asked. Asuma smiled and sat next to Kurenai, trying to put his arm around her. But to his dismay, Kurenai ducked under his arm. Asuma seethed but held it back. I was wondering if you wanted to go. Asuma started. I refuse. I'm not interested. Now if that's all you want, please leave. Kurenai said, without looking at the Jonin of Team 10. I don't understand why you can't understand what no means. And I don't understand why you would refuse me. I'm the son of the Hokage and very strong. Asuma responded. Kurenai signed and looked at her sister wives, who gave her a nod. She smiled at them and turned to the bearded Jonin. Well, if you really must know. I don't want to go out with you because I'm interested in someone else. Asuma gritted his teeth in anger. How could he lose his Kurenai to someone else? He needed to know. Who is it? Before Kurenai answered, Yugao jumped in. And why do you want to know? What will you do with that info? This doesn't concern you. Asuma told the cat Anbu. Yugao glared at Asuma when he made that statement. You're wrong. Anything involving my sister involves me. Learn she is not interested and try to find someone else. Yugao suggested. Asuma grunted and turned to Kurenai. This isn't over, you'll be mine. Asuma said before walking away. Kurenai smirked and touched her fox mark on her neck. Not likely. I don't understand why guys can't just give up. Yugao nodded in agreement. I understand. Hayate has been asking me out every chance he gets. It's aggravating. I can't wait until Naruto-kun announces his status as the CR, but it might cause him some problems. I agree. Naruto-kun will have some problems in the future, especially when it comes to your two stalkers you two, but even with Hana-san and Sum-san in the circle, Kiba thinks he can do what he wants with me. I just wish I could kill him and be done with it. Hinata said. She wanted to end the pup's life, but it'll hurt his mother and sister's feelings. Hopefully Anko stops playing games and announces Naruto and Izumi's status as genin. We all know she could just pass them, but a part of me is glad she is taking her job seriously. Hana then got a good idea. How about we go watch them? Both of them taking on the Cyclops could be entertaining, the Inuzuka suggested. The others smiled at the idea. Team 7 training ground. What's with these kids? Kakashi asked himself, dodging another fireball from Izumi. Izumi and Naruto informed him that the test was to try and get a certain item from him, and judging by their line of sight, it was the bells. He agreed, thinking it would be as easy as his team. He soon found out he was wrong. The fireball created a smoke screen and sent him flying back with a huge explosion. It seems that fireball had too much chakra. She probably doesn't have control over her strength. The Cyclops thought before ducking under a kick from Naruto. Kakashi threw a punch towards Naruto, but the blonde jumped back, avoiding it. Izumi charged Kakashi with a kunai in her hand. Kakashi took out some shurikens and tossed them towards the female Uchiha. Izumi parried them all and tossed the kunai towards Kakashi, but unknown to him until he tilted his head to dodge the kunai, there was a paper bomb strapped to. Shit! Kakashi screamed before the bomb went off. Wow, Izumi-chan, are you trying to kill him? Naruto joked. That won't be enough, I'm pretty sure he's okay. Izumi said, laughing along with her teammate. Soon they stood back to back scanning the area for Team 7 Sensei. Not left, right, behind, front or above. She looked over her shoulder into her lover's eyes and nodded. They both started to go through some hand signs. Earth style. Rock breaker. Lightning style. Shocking quakes. Izumi and Naruto slammed the palms on the ground, lightning coming from Naruto and cracking on the earth from Izumi, destroying the field. Kakashi jumped from the underground sweating a bit. Are you trying to kill me? Kakashi asked. Naruto chuckled a bit. Sorry Kakashi-san, but we wanted to test our skills even though we completed our objective. What do you mean? I still have the bells. Izumi smiled and spoke up. We were never after the bells, we just said we were here to grab something. Here you go, Anko-sensei. Izumi yelled, tossing her a familiar orange book to Anko. Kakashi's eyes widened as he reached into his pouch looking for the book. What? How did you get that? Kakashi asked, surprised. Anko caught the book and smirked evilly. Doesn't matter. Now students. Your sexy sensei will be teaching you some elemental manipulation. My primary element is fire, so I'm going to show how to use your chakra to form fire, but we need something to burn. Oh, look at what I happen to be holding. Kakashi started to sweat like guy after he ran 500 laps. Now Anko. Let's not be hasty. Oh that's right, you love this book more than life itself. Tell you what, I'll give you the smut back and in return, I want 1 CA rank jutsu of each affinity. Or the book turns to ash. Kakashi, faster than lightning, pulled out 5 scrolls and tossed it towards the snake mistress. Anko shook her head disappointedly. Naruto and Izumi laughed at the Cyclops' pervertedness. Hey trash. Team 11 turned to see Sasuke approaching Izumi with a scowl on his face. How did you awaken the Sharingan? I demand to know. Izumi glared at Sasuke with cold eyes. The weak shouldn't demand nothing of the strong. Train more. Izumi answered. Soon Kurenai and the rest joined them. A red fox walked by, which Team 11 recognized as Kurumi. Sakura approached the group. That's right, you should help Sasuke-kun. The pink kid yelled. What do you mean? That's right. No one suggested that, Naruto said. Kurumi eyed the girl suspiciously. Weird, I noticed for a while now. She always seems to be talking to someone, but she's not a Jinchuriki like Naruto-sama. Maybe I can use this. Kurumi in her fox form, walked to the pink kid and nuzzled on Sakura's leg, causing the girl to turn to the fox. Wow, so cute. Sakura picked up the fox and hugged it. Naruto looked at Kurumi confusingly, but was shocked when Kurumi bit Sakura on the shoulder, pouring some of her chakra into her. OWWW. Sakura yelled in pain, tossing Kurumi on the ground. Damn, stupid fox bit me. Kurumi hopped into Naruto's arms and nuzzled him in the neck. Kurumi, what did you do? Let's just say I'm helping her with her mental trauma. Anyway, now that you succeeded, I think you should celebrate with Kurenai-san and Hinata-san. They deserve it, while not taking them out and then having a little fun. Kurumi suggested. Naruto turned to the females of Team 8 and smirked. He walked up to the two, gaining their attention. Hinata blushed and leapt into his arms, nuzzling her cheeks with his, making the boy chuckle. Hey Hinata-chan, Kurenai-chan. How about for your celebration for becoming a team, we go out, just the 3 of us? Hinata squealed and gave the blonde a deep kiss. Sure Naruto-kun, I love to. Kurenai walked up to the blonde and kissed him on the cheek. Sure Naruto-kun, and if we enjoy it, we might give you a reward, Kurenai said with a wink. Sure, in fact, I thought of something special for the both of you. Naruto said with a smirk. The group proceeded to leave, but Naruto went a different route from the group to set up the date and the girls went to the dango shop. Sakura was happy and was about to ask Sasuke on a date when she felt woozy. Later that night, Kurenai and Hinata were dressed in a red and lavender kimono where it hung off their shoulders. Anko gave them instructions from Naruto to meet on the Hokage monument at midnight. Usually the two kunoichi would be cold, but thanks to their Hanyu blood, they were rarely bothered by the cold. Nonetheless they wanted to dress up for their favorite blonde. But the question that plagued their mind was why he had them wearing a bikini under it. When they arrived at the top of the Yondaime head, they were surprised and smiled a bit with a blush on their face. Hinata's bigger than her sensei's. Kurenai put a finger on lips, smirking. So this is what you had planned. I must say I'm impressed. What can I say? I'm an unpredictable shinobi. Naruto said, standing next to a cage bunshin, both wearing a waiter outfit, with his hair combed back and standing next to two massage tables. Behind him was a stand with oil and lotion on it with some candles. Now if you beautiful ladies would please take a table, my mistresses. Kurenai blushed with a sexy smirk, while Hinata tried to suppress a nosebleed at seeing Naruto in a tux. Naruto and his clone lead the girls to a table as they take off their kimono. The girls were wearing a two-piece bikini, but Hinata's was lavender and Kurenai's were a crimson red. When they laid down, Naruto started to pour oil on them, sending a warm sensation down their spine. As Naruto and his clone straddled the girls and rubbed them down their back, Kurenai smirked. Naruto-kun, you won't be able to cover every spot unless you undo my bikini strap. Hinata giggled at Naruto's shocked expression. The blonde smirked and bent down and undid the strap with his teeth, causing the raven-haired girl to shiver when she felt his hot breath. The other Naruto reached around a cupped Hinata's with his oil hands, causing her to moan. More Naruto-kun. Naruto started to nibble on Hyuga's ear, while continuing to massage her. Meanwhile, Naruto was in a heated makeout section with Kurenai pinning him on the table, both their tongues wrestling for control, her hanging freely. Kurenai started to grind against his groans, causing the blonde to moan. I must say, Naruto-kun, this is a great celebration. Kurenai said, separating from Naruto's lips. I'm glad you are enjoying it. Naruto responded by turning to Hinata and the clone, watching them both making out with the Hyuga on his lap. Shall we continue? Naruto asked, turning his attention back to Kurenai. Kurenai gave the blonde a seductive smile. Of course. Kurenai answered, claiming his lips. Haruno residence. Sakura was laying in bed trying to get some sleep, squirming in pain. She kept twisting and turning, while sweating like she had a fever. What she didn't know was that the cause was inside her mind. Sakura Haruno mind. Sasuke-kun is amazing, how dare Team 11 get in his way? I'll make them pay, cha. Then when Sasuke-kun gets older, we're going to get married and have all his kids. Inner Sakura ranted. So this is who she was talking to and the weird presence I felt. Inner Sakura turned around and saw Kurumi standing there smirking. Who are you and why are you here? Me. I'm a therapist and here to fix some head trauma. Kurumi said, looking around Sakura's mind, seeing different images and scenes of Sasuke. It was easy to say she was disgusted. Head trauma? There's no head trauma, Inner Sakura yelled, before a hand plunged into her stomach, causing the girl to look down in surprise. Don't look scared. Inner looked at Kurumi. You can't die. You are a manifestation of this girl's true thoughts and made of chakra, but I can cleanse you. I'm just giving you a small gift that will help you in the future and get your mind off that pitiful Uchiha. Kurumi explained. Inner was then surrounded by red chakra from head to toe. Kurumi stepped back and smirked. When the chakra disappeared, Inner was standing there with her eyes closed. So how do you feel? Kurumi asked. Inner Sakura opened her eyes and it had slits in the middle. I feel better than before. And what do you think of your Sasuke-kun? Inner sneered. The Uchiha, he's just an asshole who treat us bad because of his name. Besides, who needs him when we have Naruto-kun? As Inner said that, the images and scenes of Sasuke began to crumble. Good to hear. Now do your best to get your outer self to accept you, but make sure she sees how disgusting her crush is and how amazing Naruto-sama is. You are a cute girl with a lot of potential and I hate to see you waste it. Of course, Kurumi-sama. Question: how much of an influence do I have on her personality? It should be the same as before, just ease her into it and she'll be a better person for it. My chakra is fading, so good luck. Of Kurumi-sama. Inner saluted before Kurumi disappeared. Kurumi turned and started to walk away. Now to begin. She said, walking to a door that had emotions listed on it. Naruto was laying in bed, Then he started sniffing the air and a smile appeared on his face. Hana-chan, he mumbled, wrapping his arms around something soft. You rang, Naru-kun. Naruto opened his eyes and saw Hana staring down at him, straddling his waist. He gave her a warm smile, which she returned. Morning Naru-kun. Thinking about me? Hard not to. Naruto responded, kissing the female Inuzuka. Hana moaned into the kiss after the kiss. Hana got off the blonde and smirked. Love the kisses, but breakfast is ready. Naruto nodded and got out of bed. After getting dressed, he met Anko, Yugao, Izumi and Kurenai downstairs. He greeted the girls. So it's been like 2 months since your graduation. Anything planned? Well, hopefully Hokage-sama would be nice enough to give us a B-rank mission. Anko said, reaching for some bacon. Kami knows we're ready for it. Izumi commented, grabbing a bagel. Naruto smiled. Gigi just doesn't want to show favoritism. We only a 3-man squad. Anyway, I know this isn't interesting, but have you noticed something weird about Sakura? Yeah, she's been fawning over you. I wonder what changed. Anko said. Maybe she realized how bad the tem is and came to her senses. Hana said. Actually, you can thank me. I kinda placed some of my influence on her. Akane said, appearing out of nowhere. Naruto narrowed his eyes and smirked. Explain. Haruno residence. Sakura just looked at herself in the mirror. Hair a mess, but for some reason she didn't care. Not only that, she has been training and changing since the past 2 months, and it was thanks to Inner. What surprised her was that Inner been convincing her to like Naruto, and the more she thought about the blonder, the more her heart raced. She remembered when it started. Flashback. Sakura woke up and went down to get some breakfast. Good morning, Sakura. I made some egg salad sandwich and tofu, her mom said. When Sakura heard that, for some strange reason her face twisted into disgust. She wondered why. That's what she always ate to keep up her diet. Actually, can you make me a meat and cheese omelet with some grits on the side? 2 servings please. Mebuki looked at her daughter strangely. Sakura honey, are you okay? I'm fine, just feeling a tad bit hungry. Sakura replied. Flashback end. Sakura ate everything off her plate, surprising both her and her mother. What surprised her even more was the day she met up with her team. Flashback. Sakura was headed to her team's training ground. When she arrived, she saw her crush and sigh. Good morning Sasuke-kun. HN. Sasuke responded. Sakura grew a tick mark. I said good morning you prick. Sakura before covering her mouth. Sasuke looked disturbed. I'm sorry Sasuke-kun, I don't know what came over me. Sasuke turned the other way, which made Sakura depressed. What was that? Now Sasuke-kun hates me. Well, I say the emo, he don't deserve us. You should give up on him. Inner Sakura said. Sakura was surprised at her inner thoughts. What are you saying? Sasuke-kun deserves any girl he wants. I can't wait to marry him. Inner scoffed. Yeah right, there's nothing like marrying a guy who treats us like crap. You date someone like Naruto-kun, now that's a man. Sakura's jaw dropped. Naruto. He's the rookie of the year, strong, smart, handsome and Okami his beautiful eyes, Inner finished. Sakura had to admit, Naruto was good looking. Wait, why is she thinking this? She likes Sasuke. Good morning. Sakura turned to Kakashi, who broke her out of her thoughts. Morning sensei, what are we doing today? Sakura asked. Well, we'll be doing some D-rank missions. That is all. Kakashi answered with an eye smile. And? Sakura asked. And? That's it. Kakashi answered. What? Are you kidding me? Sakura yelled, startling her team. Are we actually going to train me, or am I going to stay this week forever? Aren't you a sensei? When are you going to teach us anything? Sakura covered her mouth and ran away, leaving a shocked Kakashi, a gaping Sasuke and uncaring Sai. Flashback end. Inner, what's going on with you? Sakura asked herself. I'm waking you up, now get some breakfast. If we are going to impress Naruto-kun and finally we can develop a killer body. Inner Sakura said. What do you mean? Sakura asked. Did you actually think you were going to develop a sexy body by dieting? Look at Hinata. She has C cups and she's the same age as us, she's still developing. And do you know what she eats more than anything? No. What? Cinnamon buns and ramen. The only reason she's not fat is because she trains. This thin body of ours is going to get us killed. So eat 2 people worth of breakfast and find some women to train with. Inner said. Sakura nodded and proceeded to actually eat some real food and put on some tight shorts and a tank top that covers the top of her chest. With Naruto. Okay, now it's time for some ninja tag, and this time I'm not going to be it because I'm the only boy. Naruto said, narrowing his eyes. The girls chuckled. Now who's going to be it? Anko smirked and raised her hand. I'll be it. Naruto nodded. Okay, what's your personal rule? Anko touched her chin and thought about it. When Naruto was it, he made a rule where he could use 3 cage bunchins but the girls could use weapons. How about this? If you are caught, I get to use a clone. The clone numbers go up for each person caught. But you can rescue the person who is caught as long as you give them a kiss. I'll take you to the cage mountain if you are caught. The girls blushed at that but accepted the rules. And instead of the forest of death, we are going to run around the village. Alright, you have 30 seconds starting now. Sakura was jogging around the village, trying to build up her stamina. After Inner's weird personality change, she realized how weak her body was. She was so focused on Sasuke that she let her get dragged down. After Inner constant yelling, she decided to train seriously. Currently, she was jogging through the village at a steady pace. To be honest, I thought you would pass out by now. Inner commented. You know, you've been insulting me a lot lately. Well, someone has to. You are smart outer, but I'm just treating you how you've treated Naruto-kun. The difference is, you deserve it and I'm using it to motivate you. You were just a bitch. Inner said. Sakura signed at this. If anyone else told her this, she would have denied it, but to hear it from her inner thoughts, that was different. I really was a fangirl to the core, wasn't I? Inner smiled at this. Her outer self was changing to a better kunoichi. Now if she could completely destroy her crush on the Uchiha, she could get Sakura to become one Naruto's mate. Yeah, but you've become a better person. To show it, why won't you become friends with Naruto-kun and treat him a little better and don't hate him because someone else tells you to? He's a good person. Sakura thought about this and nodded. Honestly, she wished Naruto had a crush on her again. After seeing how happy Hinata and Izumi were, she wondered how it would feel if she gave the blonde a chance. Look, it's the demon and his sluts. Sakura snapped out her thoughts when she heard a villager comment. She looked up when she heard laughter and saw Naruto being chased by his sensei. Anko leapt towards Naruto, but he did a backflip over her and dodged her grasp. Gotta do better than that, Anko-chan. Anko smiled at him. I will catch you, Foxy-kun. She said, rushing at him again. Sakura jumped up to a building and saw Anko in the distance, chasing Hinata and Izumi after she lost Naruto. What's going on? Ninja tag, Anko is it, and she's trying to catch us. Naruto answered, appearing next to the Pinkett, startling her. Sorry about that. I must say you look good in gym clothes, training. Sakura blushed at the comment before composing herself. Yeah, I realized a while ago how weak I am, so I was doing a morning jog to try to build my stamina. Naruto nodded and got an idea. Okay, how about you play tag with us? It'll help build your stamina and evasive skills. Plus it's more fun. Sakura looked down at the ground. But the others don't really like me. I don't think they would be okay with this. Nonsense. Ladies, Naruto called. In a few seconds, multiple women appeared. Anko had her hands on her hips, frowning. Naruto-kun, why did you stop? In the middle of my turn. She then turned to Sakura with a questionable gaze. And why is she here? Naruto smiled and wrapped his arms around Sakura. Well, believe it or not, Sakura here wants to play with us. Izumi cocked an eyebrow. Really? I thought she hated us and would find this immature for kunoichis. Sakura blushed in embarrassment. No, I want to play, if that's okay, I mean. Izumi narrowed her eyes and smirked. Fine, but no fangirling. Sakura nodded her head and joined the group. Inner smirked. Outer was bonding with Naruto's group. Once Outer becomes physically ready, Inner could make her move. Report. Hi. The target is still with his group, sir. They seem to be playing tag. And the traitor. She's with him. What are your orders, Danzo-sama? When the two are alone, you are to kill the Uchiha girl and bring me the boy. To have the village thrive, he will become my weapon and Konoha we reign over all. Danzo ordered. Sakura was exhausted. She wished she took training more seriously. She was so exhausted after a simple game of tag. But she really did enjoy herself. Sakura didn't have many friends since she started crushing on the Uchiha and her crush always ignored her. Seeing Hinata and Izumi enjoying themselves around Naruto kind of made her feel jealous. It was getting close to the afternoon. The group decided to head to Akamaiki's barbecue place. When Sakura was about to protest, she was stopped by Anko claiming it'll help her get bigger, which shut her up. As they head to the spot, Naruto stops midway and narrows his eyes and smirks. Anko turned to her student. What's wrong, Naruto-kun? Oh, nothing, Izumi-chan, I think you and I have some business to take care of. We'll meet up with you guys later. Naruto said. Izumi was about to ask what he was talking about until her enhanced eyesight saw Root in the shadows. She smiled and nodded. All right, lead the way. Naruto and Izumi left the group, confusing Sakura. Where are they going? Yugao smiled and proceeded to the restaurant. Izumi have a bad history and they're dealing with the root of it. Naruto and Izumi were jumping through the forest of death, with their followers behind them. I think this is far enough. Naruto said, landing on the branch. Izumi landed on one lower than him. Come on out, you bastards. Izumi yelled. 10 Root Anbu appeared around the two Hanyu. Izumi Uchiha, you are to be disposed of for being a traitor to the cause. Naruto Uzumaki, you are to come with us and be properly trained. You have no say in the matter, one of them said. Naruto cocked an eyebrow confusingly. Excuse me for being rude and arrogant, but the weak don't command the strong. So in reality, you have no say in the matter. Naruto said, stretching out his hand. A broadsword with a onyx edge on one side and a gold edge on the other, with a wing-shaped guard appeared in his hand. Flashback. Kurumi just handed the group their own keyblade. Naruto was inspecting his, he had to admit it looked cool. Now those weapons are a connection to you, it will evolve as you bond with it. Think of it as a sleep state, it will transform to its true form once you bond is. Kurumi was interrupted when Naruto's keyblade lit up and transformed into a broadsword. This is pretty cool. Naruto commented. Kurumi's jaw was hanging. But how? You just got that blade? Kurumi asked. I don't know, Kayasakuen just spoke to me. Naruto answered. Kayasakuen? Yugao asked. Naruto lifted his sword and smiled. Her name, the sword, is called Kayasakuen, Chaos Queen. Kurumi chuckled lightly, shaking her head. I shouldn't expect anything less from Naruto-sama. She paused again when Anko's blade started to glow, revealing her new weapon. Not telling. You too? Kurumi asked in disbelief. Anko held her weapon and smirked. I think she likes me. Yugao stared at Anko's new weapon and smirked. In a weird sadistic way, I think it fits you. Everyone looked at the weapon and agreed. Flashback ends. Izumi saw Naruto's weapon and pouted. Naruto-kun, let me fight. Maybe my keyblade will evolve. Izumi said, summoning her Oblivion keyblade. Naruto chuckled and his sword disappeared. Fine, I'll just spar with Anko-chan later. Naruto said, leaning against the tree. Fine, we were supposed to eliminate you anyways. The root said, pulling out a tanto. Izumi smiled and disappeared. The Anbu was confused, until Izumi appeared behind him and impaled him through the chest with a menacing grin on her face. She took the keyblade out from his chest and turned to the other 9. 9. Izumi said, charging the others. One root charged forward and did a vertical slash, but Izumi flipped over him and decapitated him. 8. This time 2 charged forward, one went for a horizontal slash but Izumi grabbed his wrist. The other tried to use the opening to stab the Uchiha but he got his waist cut off. 7. Izumi flipped the anbu she grabbed on his back and stabbed him through the head. 6. Naruto was impressed and turned on. Izumi was low Jonin in root and becoming a Hanyu increased her strength. The best part was that she wasn't using her Sharingan. Izumi looked at the rest of the root in boredom. Soon more Izumis started to appear, and they charged the rest of the root anbu. Naruto watches as Izumi relentlessly cuts down the anbu one by one. She looked like a true demon. After Izumi was done cutting down the anbu, she turned to Naruto and jumped him, smashing her lips on top of Naruto's. Her bloodlust turned lust and she was pent up. Naruto wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her closer. Izumi pulled back and smiled. That was fun, but my keyblade didn't evolve. Izumi said with a cute pout. Give it time, now let's meet up with the others. Izumi nodded and they proceeded. Danzo was seething. 10 of his root seals died out, which means they were killed. He underestimated the Jinchuriki. He has to be cautious on how to approach this. Soon Naruto, you'll be my weapon or die. Later that night, Anko was sweating as she tried to go to sleep. She was unconsciously groping herself, moaning in pleasure, thinking about her alpha. She was not sure where this came from but it was slowly building, her tension. Quote exclamation mark. I can't take it, Anko needs some playtime now. Anko then got up and quietly went to Naruto's room while wearing nothing but her panties. She didn't want to wake no one up, especially Kurenai and Yugao. Kami knows what would happen if she was caught by those two, ow. Anko mumbled as she ran into something. She looked up and her eyes widened. Hana, what are you doing here? Hana was rubbing her head and looked at Anko. I would have asked you the same but I can smell the pheromones on you, I'm guessing you were having trouble sleeping. I know we said we would decide who goes first. Next morning, Naruto-kun, breakfast. Kurenai called but pouted when she didn't get a response. He usually eager to eat. She walked upstairs towards his room and knocked on the door but still no reply. Naruto-kun, it's time to. What the hell? Kurenai said. Huh, I smell food. Yon morning Kurenai-chan. Naruto said smiling but he didn't receive a reply. Kurenai-chan, what are you looking at? Naruto asked. He looked down and saw Hana and Anko sleeping next to him but what surprised him was their appearance. Anko-chan, Hana-chan. What happened to you? Hearing his call, both girls woke up. What do you mean Naruto-kun? Both girls asked, rubbing their eyes and yawning. Anko was the first to open her eyes and when she laid her eyes on Naruto, she gasped. Foxy-kun, what happened to you? Huh, what? Naruto-kun, why do you have fox ears and a tail? Hana asked. I should be asking all three of you that. Kurenai said, causing the three to tilt their head sideways. Kawaii. No, get a grip. You can snuggle later, right now you need answers. Naruto, Anko and Hana studied each other and Kurenai was right. Naruto had blonde fox ears and a tail with the tips white. Anko's was purple with brown tips and Hana's was brown with white tips. Anko hugged Naruto and started rubbing their cheeks together. Kawaii. Anko squealed. Kurenai was about to stop them until she heard the two start to purr. Both of you are so adorable. Kurenai said when her barrier broke before ran and hugged her mate and lil sister figure. I see it finally happened. Kurumi said, poofing in the room. I figure Anko would have been first but I guess things happen for a reason. What do you mean Kurumi-san? Hana asked, wagging her tail. Basically you and Anko-san had an evolution ritual. You and your mate perform a ritual that allows you to evolve into more of a demon. It's an instinctive thing that's hard to resist. Kurumi said. But why didn't it happen to the rest of us? Kurenai asked. Because it depends on the person's willpower. The only reason I thought it would happen to Anko is because she's a pervert with no self-control. Oi. Kurumi ignored Anko and continued. But since Hana is an Inuzuka, I guess it makes sense. So going by your logic, the next person would either be Sum-san or. Kurenai paused. Hinata-san. Kurumi finished. Hinata was probably the one with the weakest will among the group. Is it possible to share my time with her? Kurenai asked. You can't force it, but knowing how you consider her a sister, I believe your instincts to guide her will activate now you are aware. Kurumi said, making Kurenai feel relieved. Excuse me, Naruto-sama. The Hokage would like you. What happened here? Yugao appeared in her Anbu suit. Kurumi sighed. I'll explain it to you later. Now continue on with what you were saying. Right, Naruto-sama, the Hokage would like you in his office. Yugao said, still staring at Naruto while resisting the urge to glomp him. Well, I can't go like this, Naruto said as he was being rugged by Kurenai and Anko. Don't worry about it, just think about pulling your tail and ears in your body. You can release them anytime you want. Also, I'll explain the difference in your abilities when you get back. Kurumi explained. Naruto nodded and closed his eyes. As Kurumi said, his tail was pulled in and ears disappeared. Sweet. Alright, I guess I should go, Naruto said before giving Kurenai a kiss. When he was about to walk by Yugao, he took off her mask and gave her a passionate kiss, causing her legs to feel weak. He pulled away and smirked. You know you're not supposed to leave the house before giving everyone some love. Yugao blushed. I'm sorry, Naruto-sama. What about us? Hana asked. You and Anko-chan got some love last night, Naruto said before leaving to get dressed. Yugao's eyes widened and turned to her sister wives. Haha, we can explain, Hana said nervously. After getting dressed, Naruto arrived at the office and proceeded in. When he walked in, there was a beautiful raven-haired girl with green eyes in the office. Hey Gigi, you called for me. Hiruzen looked up from the scroll. Yes, you see this girl here. Her name is Shizuka and she's, well, is your fiancé. Naruto looked at the girl and back at his leader. Say what?